Hello everybody, Sir Raz here, and welcome to episode 2 of Let's Talk Zerg. Today I'm going to be talking about Zerg vs. Protoss, and I do have a game to kind of demonstrate an idea I'm going to be talking about today, an idea about how to face matchups. So before we get going any farther, I'm just going to pause this for a second and talk about a few little things. One, I was thinking about doing an episode today on upgrades and scouting and stuff like that, but I realized that instead of talking about that, I think I will just kind of incorporate, the upgrade aspect into my Zerg vs. Protoss talk. So, without further ado, let's get this game going, and we'll kind of talk a little bit about it. So, really, in this matchup, there's only a few upgrades you really need to be aware of, and the first one is if you scout an early forge, but not a fast expand, that's going to tell you that you're probably going to be facing a +1 weapons push, and what that means is that Lings will get 2 shot by Zealots instead of taking 3 shots. So that's a very important upgrade to watch out for. So what you have to do is get +1 Carapace to deal with that. Then the other upgrade you should really know about is just it's a lot better to get attack when fighting stalkers than getting armor. So definitely, if you're going to go for a Mutalisk build, get air attack. I don't even know if I said Mutalisk there. But, okay, so let's start talking about this matchup here. So, to start out, let's look at where I am. So, this is how I like to approach my matchups. I don't have a specific build order set, and I think if you, always have a specific build order, you're really hurting yourself. Instead, I have a build plan or a build idea or something like that. So in this matchup, before we go on, I'm going to tell you guys a little bit about my plan, and hopefully that'll help some of you players out there to kind of think about what a plan entails and how to develop your own plan or gameplay or whatever you want to call it. So in this ZVP matchup, here's what I do. First off, I usually get a second hatchery up, and I will get that at either 15 or 14, depending on the map. And what I do is when I get around 200 resources, or get a decent number of resources, I will send out a worker or 2 to my expansion. Now, I was expecting to get blocked here. This is actually a 3rd game in a series, so I sent 2 workers. And what I'm doing here is actually controlling my workers to kill this probe. So you'll see kind of what I'm doing here. You have the trick is you have one worker chase and then the other one to kind of cut them off. So the probe does go down, and that's like the beginning stage of my idea. I want to get that second hatch up. Now, say for example, I get a pylon instead, then if the probe puts down a pylon, then I have a plan for that too. So don't worry, guys. This is kind of like, what you have to think. You have to have a way to deal with most of the situations you'll run into. So my plan for that is, if I get blocked, what I'll do is I'll say, all right, fine, I'm not going to try and take this quite yet. I'll throw down that spawning pool. I'll throw down the gas right away, spawning pool and gas right away. And then I'll get out, I'll keep pump a few workers, get out 4 lings, and then expand as soon as I take down that pylon. So you want to have contingency plans is basically my idea. When you're playing, you can't just have a set build order. It just won't work. Like if I was say, okay, I'm gonna 15 hatch, 14 pool, 13 extractor. Well, what happens when a pylon blocks it? I mean, you have to have, your plan should be more than just like a simple build order, I guess is what I'm trying to get to. So remember that. So let's just go on more about my plan, right? So I guess one thing I forgot, I always like to scout with my 9th worker in this matchup to see what's kind of going on. And this is what I scout for when I attack. Or when I scout. I guess I'm not really an attack, but when I scout. I look for if it's a forge first. If that's the case, I'll expect an expand. And I will still get up that second hatchery but I will go for a roach build. So I'll put down the roach warren and try and attack them with roaches. And a lot of times roaches can attack some buildings out of the range of the cannons now, and roaches is a powerful opening against that sort of build. If I see nothing, I'll expect a proxy, and then I'll go roaches as well. Roaches, very strong against proxy zealots, because what you can do is eventually, once you get that critical number of roaches, you can go attack and kill the proxy relatively early, and if you can kill that proxy, you'll really put the Protoss player behind. And the other thing, if it's just kind of like a standard opening, then I'll just play standard, get that get that second hatch up right away, then pool, then... Oh, another very important thing is when I see a standard build like this, what I will do is I will get that pool up, and then I won't build a Vespene Geyser. So this is another very important idea. You don't build that Vespene Geyser because you're not sure if you're going to get... so when you're scouting, if you see a standard build and you see like a 2-gate come out, I guess that's not really too standard anymore, but if you see a 2-gate, I like to hold off on this gas, is all I'm trying to say here, until I'm sure I'm not going to get Zealot rushed and I kind of stabilize. Then as soon as I realize, or I know that I'll be able to, or once I get like maybe a couple spine crawlers up, and like Zergling, or I'm just sure I'm not going to get Zealot rushed at the beginning, then I will take that gas. So, but if I see, just a 1-gate Cybercore build, you can take that gas a lot sooner. And so that's kind of my early plan. And then what I do after that is I say, all right, well, here, we're past that stage in the game. So if you see, I got an Overlord scouting. I probably am sending this drone to scout as well. And I'm just going to see standard play out from Acid Stormy. Acid Stormy is actually a guy I played StarCraft Legacies, having a little like North America versus EU tournament thing going on. He's one of the people I have to play in that tournament. But anyways, that's kind of what this game is from. But yeah, so I kind of see what's going on. I see that he's not going to go for any sort of 2-gate pressure, really. I don't know why this guy's running away here. But I'm getting that up, getting the spawning pool up, and notice I do take that gas pretty early, because I know that I'm not going to need to build a lot of units that take a lot of minerals early. And interesting, he does go Forge before Cybercore. So, and okay, basically at the same time, so interesting choice there. Alright, so then the next stage of this matchup, usually I'll get Ling Speed. Very good upgrade. I mean, it's just so good. You always want to get Ling Speed, in my opinion. And then a lot of players don't like to do this, but I like to use my first 100 gas for Ling Speed, second 100 gas for teching to layer. So a lot of players will possibly put down that Roach Warren and tech layer a lot slower. I like to try and get Hydras to deal out with any sort of 4-gate attack. And Acid Stormy playing pretty defensively here. So that's something you can scout for as well. I mean, okay, so let's take this moment to talk a little bit about scouting. Scouting in this matchup, very important. You have to know if your opponent's going to go like a gateway push, if they're going to go a Colossus build, or if they're going to open air. So you have to figure that out. And those are like the 3 main threats, I think, in this matchup. So you have to figure it out. And here's some ways you can kind of scout. One, for example, put a Ling in front of their base. Very good. You can see what's going on, get a good idea. Like I'll see that cannon, and then I look for this expansion. Oh, maybe not. I realized that I had a Overlord over there. So no expansion, but I mean, I know he does have that Forge, and he'll probably be upgrading to +1 weapons here. And so that's kind of what I learned from this. So probably going to see some sort of attack. But he also did build a cannon, so I know he's planning on attacking a little bit later. I mean, he's not going for any super early aggression. So what that tells me here is that I can drone for a while and continue on with my plan, see early layer, and then what my plan is here, since I see that Forge, I'm expecting a gateway push, right? So what my plan here is to do is to get out Hydralisk as soon as possible. Hydras are very strong against gateway units, as we will probably see in this battle. So that's what my game sense is telling me from that. And you guys, another really good thing about playing is you know, learn that game sense. Also, creep spreading between your two bases is very important in this matchup, so good thing to know. And another very interesting thing is with scouting this matchup, look for proxy areas. So in this map, some of the most notorious ones are up here and over here and right here. So you check those locations, and then also, you know, you want to have an overlord in a good scouting position. But look, what did I do here? As soon as I got that layer, this is what I do. I get this overseer with my first 100 gas, then the second 100 gas or whatever after I get my layer, Hydra Den. Boom. So this will allow me to get some scouting information. Did I run through his base yet? No, but I will very soon, and I'll see what's going on. Interestingly enough, he actually did put down a cyber core, so he wasn't exactly doing exactly what I was expecting, but he is getting level 1 upgrades as well as level 1 armor, so this will make his attack really strong. But I'm going to see exactly what's going on here. So I see that he's going for a gateway build with a later robotics facility, and I mean, that tells me that I will have to deal with Colossus eventually, but not quite yet. So I see this attack getting ready, I throw down some spines, and then looking at the income tab, I am way ahead. I mean, that just shows the power of scouting. Like, I knew he wasn't gonna, you know, attack me. You know, well, okay, so I knew he got that forge, so that slows down the 4-gate, right? And I kind of saw what was going on, so I knew an attack was coming probably pretty soon, because we are at, like, the 8-minute mark. Like, 8-minute mark is when, like, a 4-gate will come. After that, you know, if you see some other tech in there or some other stuff, it'll probably come a little bit later. So I do have that Hydra Den, and notice how as soon as I scouted that Robo facility, I put down that Spire to get Corruptors when I need them, and then also this Roach Warren, as Roach Hydra is very strong. So I see this attack is coming, and I'll start to pump out units. So watch for this. Very soon I'll have a huge influx of units. Looking at the production tab. And alright, so while we're in this point of the game, I'm going to actually talk a little bit more about my strategy. So far I talked about the early game and how I go about getting to lair and what can cause me to actually delay that for a moment and get some roaches first. So basically, like I said, I try to go to lair with just Ling speed unless I see either a Forge Fast expand or a proxy Zealot attack. Those two situations, I like to get out the roaches. Otherwise, I like to go lair first. And then as soon as I hit lair, I get an overseer to see what's going on, and that Hydra Den. And here's why. Hydra Den is so good against your immediate threats when playing a Protoss. So what will start coming around the 8-minute mark will be either Phoenix or a 4-gate like gateway push. And Hydra, very strong at dealing with both of them. So what I figure is I like to get out a handful of Hydra and then scout what's going on. And if I see a gateway push, I'll throw down, well, either just build lots of Hydra or I'll consider throwing down that Roach Warren. Either works pretty well against the gateway push. You know, really, in general, I do throw down that Roach Warren. And then I'll get a mix of Roach Hydra and defend the first attack, and then use my superior economy to counterattack and win. So that's the idea if I see a gate push, right? That's how I deal with it. If I see Colossus coming out, I'll throw down that Roach Warren and Spire. And what I will do is I will get some Corruptors, and then Roach Hydra Corruptor can beat a Colossus army mix. And then my plan is to not win there, just to defend there, right? And you fight off that first army, then you expand. After you fight off that first army is usually my plan. And then what I do is I try and tech Hive so I can get Broodlords. And Broodlords are like the game ender there. So once that happens, I get the Broodlords, I attack, I try and end the game. So that's kind of my plan for ending the game if I see that. And, you know, if it goes on, like, if any of these things fail, you know, you have to have another backup plan. So my end game plan is, you know, Broodlords, Ultralisk, Roach, really strong army, Hydras if they go air. Simple, right? And continue to expand whenever I can. you want to expand aggressively in the late game versus Protoss. But anyways, and then the last threat is if I see air.